And welcome back. COVID-19 has changed the way that people have actually thought about shopping food as well as also cooking. And that's cooking for their families, from the sudden and significant need for grocery delivery to the newfound comforts of homemade meals. Well, the question is, how do you deal in a time such as this? In response to that, Fresh Direct has also launched initiatives assisting families that are actually in need of groceries. Joining us now to share more is the Vice President of Fresh Direct, Larry Scott Blackmon. And Larry, good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Good. And it comes at a very crucial time. When we talk about what's going on across New York City, of course we know that New York City is dealing with a lot of food insecurity. So I know that Fresh Direct has partnered up with the borough presidents of New York City. So share with us a little bit about the new initiative with Fresh Direct in New York City.
Absolutely. And thank you for having us, Darren. Fresh Direct realized very early on in this pandemic, as many New Yorkers did, that many families were severely affected by the pandemic from a food perspective. And so in partnership with each of New York City's 5 borough presidents, we launched an effort that we named the 5-Borough Food Drive, where Fresh Direct initially, at no expense to anyone but the company, Fresh Direct would donate 500 boxes of food per day, per borough, 5 days per week, 5 days a week. And so the traction with that program was just phenomenal. New Yorkers loved it. And after the first month, we were looking for partners to continue it, to keep it going. And thanks to the city of New York and Mayor de Blasio, the 5 borough presidents, and really Bronx leaders all across the borough, Fresh Direct has been moving forward with that program. And to date, we've donated over 250,000 boxes of food to families in need.
That's a major gap filler for a lot of families across New York City. We know that many are going hungry. Many people have lost their jobs. What have you heard through what's been going on through COVID-19 with regards to food insecurity and hunger?
You know, some of the stories that I've heard have been really tragic. Families are struggling to make ends meet. And it is our goal through this program that families have one less item to worry about. Many of the items in our boxes were, fresh produce items, shelf-sustainable items. And I visited our touch points throughout the entire program. I visited many of them. And again, some of the stories you hear are just tragic. But the beauty, right, the positive side, the converse is that some of the stories, the hugs and, even socially distanced hugs, and the thank yous that we receive from families who come to rely and depend on this, they touch your heart. And so we've been extremely grateful to be able to touch hearts in that manner.
Talking to us about Fresh Direct Express, obviously getting out there, getting connected with families is the initiative that's out there. But for people who don't know, define Fresh Direct Express.
So absolutely. So we've launched Fresh Direct Express, which is obviously a faster way, real time, in a couple of hours method of receiving your food. You can just go on the website, and we're growing that out, and we're realizing that, people want their food as quickly as possible. And so we launched that effort, and it's getting off to a strong start.
Yeah. Filling that need. I mean, obviously Fresh Direct has been around for a long time, but give us, as a spokesperson for Fresh Direct, what this actually means to be able to partner with local government and also city residents in this pandemic season, which has been something that has been, of course, unprecedented. And many people are out there saying, listen, we just need help, but you guys are actually doing a great job of putting food into the mouths of those who are hungry.
Well, here's the thing. The city of New York has been doing a phenomenal job of working with many partners to provide meals that were already prepared. All right, so prepared meals. But what many elected leaders and many community leaders, and what we even found out is kind of like you and I, if you're like us, we like to prepare our food. And so there was a need for groceries, and people became attached to it. They wanted to add their own flavor to a meal. So instead of receiving that prepared meal, what we're doing in partnership with the elected leaders and community groups and activists and NYCHA tenant leaders, what we're doing is we're providing an opportunity for individuals to add their own flavor to the meals, right? To add what makes it special, what makes it culturally appealing to them, by giving them the ingredients that they use to cook for themselves. So this has been a phenomenal experience. And I mentioned that we've especially touched our NYCHA complexes. We've been in over 30% of the NYCHA complexes in every borough. And that is really what warms our heart as a company, is to know that, you know, for individuals that may not have viewed Fresh Direct as a first option, they're receiving that box. They're being introduced to the highest quality product, and they love what they're receiving. And we're happy to provide it.
Somebody doesn't know about Fresh Direct. I mean, they may be watching this segment for the very first time and say, okay, Fresh Direct. So we always, in journalism, say we assume our audience knows nothing. So for somebody who may not know about Fresh Direct, give us a little bit of background.
Absolutely. So Fresh Direct is a born and bred New York City company. We've been around now for a little over 15, 16 years. We were first based in Long Island City. We built a state-of-the-art facility here in the Port Morris section of the Bronx. We employ thousands of individuals, well over 1,000 individuals from the borough of the Bronx. I just finished speaking to a group that we just hired. We've been hiring throughout. Our employees, Fresh Direct employees, are heroes. Throughout the course of this pandemic, New Yorkers and individuals in the regions we serve, and for those who don't know, we hug the East Coast. We're from DC up to Southern Connecticut. We were out there in the course of this pandemic, and our team members, our staff members are heroes. I've been in the office for the most part the entire time, as many of our team members have. We are extraordinarily proud to be the leading e-commerce grocer in the Northeast, and dare I say, in the country.
Yeah. And so when we talk about the Northeast, a lot of people across the Northeast are taking advantage of Fresh Direct. Talk to us about what do you feel makes the difference for Fresh Direct?
What makes the difference for us is our quality. We know where our food comes from. And unlike many other neighborhoods, when you go into a supermarket, you don't know how long that food's been sitting out there. You don't know how long the produce has been out front for you. You don't really know where it came from. We source our product directly, and in most part, directly from farmers. We have farmers that drive their product to our site. And so we offer the highest quality. You know, you talk about fish that literally was on a boat maybe a day or two ago, and it's now in your home. And so people want to know that what they're putting in their bodies, right? You are what you eat, right? You're putting in highest quality, best sourced food product when you shop with Fresh Direct.
Yeah. And when we talk about Fresh Direct actually helping the community in this pandemic season, as we talked about, it's partnering with all 5 New York City borough presidents, making sure that food goes out to hungry people throughout the course, that nobody can really get left behind in this term. Using that phrase, nobody getting left behind, making sure that every gap is actually being filled. But when we talk about that gap being filled, the pandemic has definitely been something that has been painful to a lot of people. Give us some of the stories that you're hearing from some of your people with boots on the ground, and maybe those who have actually been recipients, as to what this has actually meant for them.
Again, I've heard stories that you know, a range of different stories, anywhere from the economic impact to a family member, or a family possibly losing a loved one, actually, and losing that source of support to be able to put food on the tables. You'd be surprised at some of the stories that we've heard. We've partnered with organizations, and I mentioned the NYCHAs and the elected officials and community groups, the lines of people who depend on this. This struggle, you know, against COVID and its impact is really, it's hitting people harder than I think most folks know. And there's really, you know, sometimes you lose sight of how to effectively quantify the impact. You know, I've shed tears with some of these families, seeing them on the line, seeing what this means. And in some cases, this box provides sustainability for days. We wish that there was more that we can do, because the need is out there. You know, we understand the economic impact. We realize that, we see it. People that work for us, our employees, live in the most neighborhoods that are most impacted by COVID. And they come in and talk to us, and they tell us, you know, about the reception that they receive just walking through the community, wearing a Fresh Direct shirt or a Fresh Direct hat, and someone saying, hey, you know, that box, we received your box. Or they see the box on stations such as your own. It means something to them. It says that they have just a little bit more support than they need to worry about on any other day.
Yeah. For people who want to find out more, what do they do?
You can visit our website, freshdirect.com. We have pages there. We have been working with a number of different organizations, including New York Common Pantry. We've been working with the Arc of Justice, you name it. And I just want to really give a big thank you to the Borough of the Bronx, to BronxNet, to the Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., and to the countless Bronx elected officials who have partnered with us. They can tell you the number of phone calls that we receive from them. I have text messages. I actually took a snapshot of my text messages one day and showed it to the entire staff just to show them the amount of love that we receive and thankfulness from this borough and beyond. But I'm really highlighting the Bronx. If it wasn't for the Bronx, we wouldn't be here. We appreciate it. We cherish it. And we thank you, Daren, for giving us an opportunity to talk with you today about this program.
Yeah. Larry Scott Blackmon, thank you so much now for the great work that Fresh Direct is doing. Our community is in need, and our community is really hurting. And where people can actually fill those gaps and really bridge that gap to bring love, love, food, and the supplies is really needed, in this time. And so thank you so much for the great work that you've done in Fresh Direct in making sure that Bronxites and New Yorkers all across New York City are well taken care of. Thanks a lot, Larry.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All righty, Larry Scott Blackmon is our guest here on Open. Want you to stay with us. We do have more show coming up. We'll be right back in a few.